In the Old Testament, the way people or saints in the Old Testament got born again was by putting their faith in a coming Messiah. So they believed the prophecies of the prophets and the statements that Moses made in the law. That's how guys in the Old Testament got born again. In the New Testament, we get born again by looking back at the cross. So it is the gospel. What is the gospel? The good news of the death, burial, and resurrection, and how that we are engrafted into that experience by believing that message, by putting our trust in the Lord. That is how we get born again. That is the power of God unto salvation. So when Jesus went down and preached to the spirits in prison, he came to tell them, I'm the one you have been waiting for. I'm the one you were looking forward to. Now that I'm here, all of you that died putting your faith in me, you will come back with me. So he led captivity captive. So he went to prison and preached. Hey, that's one of the first things I'm going to ask God to show me. If I don't see it when I'm on the earth. How was it when you walked into hell that Satan thought he had won and you stepped in and the Bible says he left there with the keys of death and hell. The Bible says he made an open show of the enemy. Jesus went to defeat the devil permanently in hell. And you must realize that the reason why he had to fight, because Satan is naturally not a match for God, but there is something that theologians call the hypostatic union, and that is how that God or Jesus is fully God and fully man. So because he is fully God, for instance, all things were made by him and for him. That's an exclusive reserve that is for God. But he was also fully man because Jesus slept, Jesus wept, and Jesus was hungry. Fully man, fully God. If he was fully God alone, he does not need to fight with the devil. What? Some of us think that there was a wrestling in heaven between God and the devil. No, he was on his throne. It was an angel, one angel that God said, go and deal with that guy. I don't have time. When Satan was cast out from heaven, it was Michael that cast him. Are you here? Satan is not a match for God. I'm trying to help you. Some of you think that the greatest war in heaven was God. The Bible says he upholds all things by the word of his power. Have you read in the book of Matthew when the madman that was possessed with devils stood before Jesus? What did they say? Have you come to torment us before our time? But they recognized the authority that he had. And Jesus only just stood. He had not said anything. He said nothing. He just stood. And they began to pray. Demons were praying. They said, we beseech you. That's prayer language. We beseech you, send us into the swine. Demons knew that the one standing before us, if he does not talk, that's how we'll be here. Power don't pass power now. That's how we will be here. So Jesus knew something that they did not know. So when he was granting their request, he understood that those swines, when the demons come into the pigs, they will run into the ocean and they will die. So that's why he said, go. Have you seen the wisdom of God? In their mind, we don't win. And so we'll be in the pigs and then we'll continue to now. But the first thing that happened was that the pigs went into the lake and they all died. And that was the end. They became homeless again. They stood before him and they knew that all we can do here is to beg. There are several times that Jesus had to shut the devil up because he didn't want them to know who he was. So he will be preaching and then somebody will get up and say, hold thy peace. So that's what happened when he went. And the reason why he had to go to hell was because he was also fully man. So he went to win the victory for you and for me.